Hey guys, welcome to EduKaji. If you guys are first time here, allow me to introduce myself. So my name is Walter and I'm a chemistry tutor as well as a real life scientist. So this particular video will be discussing about a past trial paper for the KSSM Chemistry syllabus. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right. So this is the MRSM paper for 2022, as indicated here. Right, and this is for the chemistry paper 1. So without further ado, let's take a look at the questions together. So for number 1, protium, deuterium, and tritium are isotopes of hydrogen. Which of the following is the similarity of the isotopes? So for isotopes, it's usually about the chemical properties lah. Okay, why is because usually isotopes are the same elements. If the same elements means that you have the same proton number and also the number of electrons. So when it comes to chemical reactions, usually isotopes, they have the same number of valence electrons. So they only react with terms of their valence electrons lah. So in this case, chemical properties should be the same for all isotopes of the same element. So the answer number 1 is A. Number 2, diagram 1 shows the apparatus set up to determine the empirical formula of oxide X. So this is actually a reduction method to determine the empirical formula of a substance. So which of the following is metal X? So what we can do is that, remember, we are using hydrogen to remove the oxygen from metal oxide. So the particular substance must be less reactive. Sorry, the particular element for oxide X must be technically a substance which hydrogen is more reactive than the substance, which means the metal oxide X over here must be less reactive than hydrogen. So according to the reactivity series, copper apparently is actually lower than hydrogen lah. So therefore, I would say that copper is the one that can be reduced by hydrogen. So normally, if you have copper oxide, and if you were to react it with hydrogen, hydrogen is able to reduce copper, and water is formed. So you can see over here that copper is actually reduced. So hydrogen managed to steal away the oxygen. So this is the only possible one. Zinc and magnesium is actually more reactive than hydrogen, so it's not able to do so lah. So in this case, the answer for number 2 here will be B. Number 3, element Z is located in the same group as neon and krypton in the periodic table elements. Which of the following is the property of the Z? So of course, all noble gases that falls under the same group, neon and krypton is also considered as a noble gas lah. So noble gas group 18 elements are usually chemically inert. That's why for number 3, answer here is actually A. Number 4, ionization of acid in water affects the pH value. Which of the following gives the highest pH value? So this picture here is very fascinating because you can see that the hydrogen, some of it is attached towards the molecule and some which is not. And if you were to see properly, some of those substances have more hydrogen that is free compared to some others. So I think in this case here, if we see this question, right, the more hydrogen ion present, then there'll be technically even more acidic the substance is, because after all, the amount of hydrogen ion can affect the pH value, right? So because it says here, highest pH value. So most of us, when we think about highest, right, sometimes we're mistaken that it's actually the strongest, but actually it's not. The lower the pH value, the more acidic the substance is. So in this case, right, most people will say, oh, the more hydrogen ion, the better. Yes, if you're talking about lower pH value. But since this is an acid, but they talk about higher pH value, so you need to be very careful. It's actually referring to the less acidic substance. So the less acidic the substance is, the lesser amount of hydrogen ions. So therefore, I would say weaker acid lah. Okay, weaker acid. So if you see properly, right, the one with the least amount of hydrogen ion is actually A, right? It's a molecule, right? Most likely you understand that it's actually a molecule. And this is actually referring to probably one of the weak acids like carboxylic acids. So in this case here, I would say Like B is a strong acid for sure, because you see the hydrogen ions are technically out of the particle. I'll say that most likely B will be either HCl or HNO3. Okay. I think it's HCl, because it's 1-to-1 ratio, so it's HCl. So HCl can dissociate to form H plus and Cl minus. This is most likely HNO3. Okay, so it can dissociate also to form H plus and NO3. So I will assume that this is actually NO3, right? And then this will probably be like H2SO4. And this is probably like CH3COOH, I guess. So this is a weak acid lah. So answer is supposed to be A lah, in the sense that it's a weak acid. So weak acid usually dissociate partially, and it should have the highest pH value. 5, diagram 2 shows the type of bond. This is referring to metallic bonding. How do we know? Because you see, they are all positively charged ions surrounded by a sea of mobile electrons. You can't really see the picture, but this is actually referring to the electrons. This is the electron, and this is supposed to be the metal ion. All right. So in this case here, which of the following is correct about the metallic bonding? I will say for this question number 5, will technically be A, because you see here there's an electrostatic attraction force between the sea of electrons and positively charged metal ions. So based on this, I explained to you that it is actually metallic bonding, right? So A is the one that describes metallic bonding. So the answer is A. Number 6, how does temperature increase the rate of reaction? So usually we talk about rate of reaction, right? When it comes to temperature increases, then of course it will cause the kinetic energy of the particles to increase. So when the kinetic energy of the particles increase, then of course the movement speed will also increase. So therefore, I think the best answer to describe number 6 over here will be B, okay? Increase the kinetic energy of the reactant particles, which then results in the higher movement speed. Higher movement speed means more collision means higher rate of reaction, technically. Number 7, diagram 3 shows a cookware made up from glass. So glass is made up of silicon dioxide and calcium carbonate. So what is the substance added to the new property of the glass? So what is referring to this is, you see, this is actually referring to heat, right? This is supposed to be a stove, and you're heating up this glass. So this glass must be something of heat resistant, because if it's not heat resistant, then you'll break if you heat it. So therefore, it's asking you, right, what is the substance added to the new property of the glass? For this case over here, since it's talking about heat property or heat resistance property, so therefore the answer is supposed to be C. Now, why is that so? Is because normally the one that can withstand heat is actually borosilicate glass. And based on this particular example, they're asking not based on heat resistance per se, but it's actually looking into expansion. So most substances in this world, when they're heated, they'll expand. So in this case here, when we want a substance to be able to resist heat, so supposedly it should have a low expansion coefficient. Since I refer this to borosilicate glass, and it must actually expand lesser, so therefore C is the best answer. Boron oxide, aluminum oxide corresponds to borosilicate glass, and low expansion coefficient means it's actually more heat resistant. So therefore the answer is C. Number 8, the following equation represents the reaction between iron and chlorine gas. What is the change in the oxidation number of chlorine? So in a free element state, it should be 0. But after that, you see, right, this is referring to FeCl3. So after that, it forms an ion of -1. So therefore, I'll say that the change in oxidation number of chlorine should be 0 to -1. The answer is D. Number 9, substance W has the following property, gives off carbon dioxide gas and water when it burns in oxygen. And it dissolves in water as well. So most of the organic compounds, they are not soluble in water except for carboxylic acid as well as alcohol. But in this case, we know that carboxylic acids are not flammable, but alcohol is. So in this case, W here will most likely be propanol. All right, pentane cannot dissolve in water. Pentene cannot dissolve in water. Pentanoic acid can, but like I said, it's not flammable, so therefore it's not the answer. Alcohol is the best answer, so propanol is the best answer. So the answer is A. Number 10, diagram 4 shows the blast furnace used to extract iron from its ore. This is zone 1, 2, 3. You can see over here. At different zone, different thing happens. So which of the following chemical equation represents reaction in zone 2? So zone 2 over here, in this case, you see this is a blast furnace, right? Where we extract iron from its own ore, hematite to be exact. So we're using carbon reduction method lah. So carbon itself, coke, will be used to generate carbon dioxide first. Then carbon dioxide is used to generate carbon monoxide, which can then act as a reducing agent to steal away the oxygen from iron oxide. So in this case here, right, for number 10, we will say that supposedly the second step is to generate carbon monoxide, like I said just now. The first step is to generate carbon dioxide. And then after that, due to the lack of oxygen, it will cause carbon monoxide to be formed. So the equation over here, then there's only one that shows carbon monoxide, which is B. So therefore, the answer is B lah, in this case. 11, diagram 5 shows a reaction to produce compound T with the presence of concentrated sulfuric acid as a catalyst. So it's referring to a carboxylic acid. So compound A is a carboxylic acid. Compound B is an alcohol. How do I know? COOH. And this one is OH only. So A is a carboxylic acid, B is a alcohol. So in this case, which of the following is the structural formula of T? Now, during the formation of a new bond to form ester, right? This is called esterification, by the way. So an esterification process, what happens is that the carboxylic acid part, which is this one, right? The OH is removed. Okay. And for the alcohol part, right, it is actually the H that is removed. So what happens here is that the chemical bond will form between this section over here, this carbon atom together, and it branch all the way here to react with this one. So if we see properly, right, the structure will not be a linear one. So these two will be out technically. So because why? The OH group is located in between here, right, which means it's here. So therefore, like I said, just now this carbon must come and bond with this carbon over here. So in order for it to bond, they must be side by side. So what will happen is that most likely this one will move towards the top. So the best answer here to describe this particular situation here for number 11 here will be either C or D. But if you see properly, right, the answer is supposed to be actually C. Okay. Why? Because this is the carboxylic acid and this is the alcohol. All right. So therefore, the answer is C. Uh, 12, which of the following neutralization reaction releases a lower amount of heat? So usually, right, the lesser amount of heat means when there's less hydrogen ion or less hydroxide ion being present. So it must at least contain a weak acid or a weak base. So if you see all this combination, right, this is basically strong and strong, strong and strong, strong and strong. But the last one you see a propanoic acid. So this shows you that propanoic acid is actually a weak acid. So supposedly if you add a weak acid and a strong base, this is strong base, then it should have a lesser amount of heat as well, because all of them are strong and strong, strong and strong means definitely more heat. But because propanoic acid here is a weak acid, so it dissociates only partially. So therefore, there should be lesser amount of heat being released. So since they're asking you for lesser amount of heat, therefore the answer is donkey. Number 13, diagram 6 shows polymer W that is widely used in the textile industry. So what is the example of W? So in this case here, we see properly, right? I would say that this is actually a synthetic fiber. All right, synthetic fiber in the sense that it's a fabric. So you can see there's a amide. It's essentially a polyamide bond. So therefore, it's referring to nylon. Okay, so this is polyamide, not a polyester. If it was polyester, then it would be like terylene, for example, or polyester. But this is actually polyamide, so it's referring to nylon. So the answer for 13 is C. 14, table 1 shows the type of function of food additive. So you got antioxidant, preventing oily or greasy food from becoming rancid, flavoring agents, enhance food flavor, emulsifier gives uniform and smooth texture, preservative prevents oxidation from salty food by oxidation. So which of the following are correctly matched? So definitely, I would say preservative is not correct because preservative's function is actually to prevent the growth of microorganisms so they can increase the shelf life of the food. So most likely let's not answer already lah. Then after that you can see here the rest of it. I think 1, 2, 3 there are functions about correct, but one actually is wrong. So in this case here, I would say that the third one is actually wrong. Emulsifier is actually to is to combine the texture of two different things. As in, like, you want to mix two different substances which are usually not soluble among each other. So the emulsifier is allows it to sort of like become smaller in fragments and then just combine together in a way. That is the main idea of it lah. All right. But it doesn't actually give you a uniform and smooth texture. That's more like of a stabilizer kind of like function. So therefore, I'll say number 1 and 2 is correct, but 3 and 4 is wrong. All right. Antioxidant is actually used to prevent oil from becoming rancid. And then after that, of course, flavoring agent is to enhance the flavor, like you said. So 1 and 2 is the best answer. So the answer is A. 15. The next one shows the atomic symbol of element X. So this is 3919. The top one is actually neutron number. The bottom one is proton number. So which of the following is true about atom of element X? It's asking you for number of neutrons and the electron arrangement. So for number of neutrons is 39 minus 19 because this is actually nucleon number. So neutron number minus the proton number will give you the neutron number. So 39 minus 19 is 20. So it's either B or C. And then number of protons is equivalent to number of electrons also. So you got 19 electrons. So the electron arrangement should be 2881. All right. So therefore, I think the answer is most likely B already. 16, diagram A shows the heating curve of solid acetic acid. So it is actually going up slightly in terms of its temperature. So which statement can be deduced from diagram 8? So the best answer to describe this curve here, because this is a heating curve, right? And at a short period of time over here, the temperature did not increase. The reason why the temperature did not increase is because the heat is being absorbed by the particles to overcome the force of attraction between them. All right. So in this case here, number 16, the best possible answer to describe what is happening here will be C. Acetic acid undergoes physical changes between 2nd minute to the 6th minute. It's a physical change because no new substance is formed. Chemical change result in the formation of a new substance, but physical change does not. It is just a change of state. For example, from liquid to gas, from solid to liquid, those are called physical change because you only change in the state of matter. It doesn't actually change something new. So therefore, this is the best answer to describe the situation. All right. When A is wrong because it says here no heat is absorbed, but the heat is being supplied. Temperature is going up, right? Temperature is going up. So I would not say that there's no heat absorbed. There must be heat absorbed. Okay. And acetic acid needs 8 minutes to melt completely. I don't think so. Why you say it takes 8 minutes to melt? If this is the melting point, I will say that this part over here is where it completely melts already. And here onwards is totally different state of matter already. So B is also wrong. And D, the attractive force between particles of acetic acid becomes stronger. It cannot be stronger because we are trying to overcome the force of attraction. The more heat is being applied, the weaker the bonds become, the weaker the force of attraction becomes. So it definitely will not be stronger after 6 minutes. It should be weaker after 6 minutes. So again, this is also wrong. So the best answer here is C. 17, The chemical formula of calcium nitrate, potassium phosphate are CaNO32 and K3PO4 respectively. What's the chemical formula of calcium phosphate? So calcium is Ca2 plus and phosphate is 3 minus. So a +2 and a -3, right? It just cross the number. So it becomes Ca3 bracket PO42. So the answer here will be donkey. 18, diagram 9 shows the electron arrangement for an atom in periodic table elements. So this is a 1 shell, 2 electrons. So this is definitely helium. All right. So which of the following statements is correct about the atom? This is actually duplet already, so it's not in group 2, it's in group 18. As it reacts with oxygen, definitely not because it's chemically inert. It is used to fill weather balloons, correct? Right? So because it's less dense than air, reacts with each other to form diatomic molecule, definitely not because, like I said, it's a noble gas. All noble gases are monoatomic state. So therefore, C is the answer. 19, diagram 10 shows the reaction of an element W and water. And you can see that the solution form turns red litmus paper blue because it's a hydroxide. And there's a lilac flame produced. So if we see lilac flame, straight away it's potassium. Okay, so potassium metal is reacting with the water to produce potassium hydroxide. So therefore, the answer here is C. 20, diagram 11 shows the electron arrangement of carbon dioxide molecule. Which of the following property is true? Let's take a look at A. Each oxygen atom contributes 1 electron for sharing. No, this is wrong. Why? You see here 2 electrons are being shared. Right? 2 electrons from oxygen is being shared. 1 carbon contributes 4 electrons to be shared by 2 oxygen atoms. So this is referring to 2 electrons being shared each side for carbon. So that is technically correct. Okay, so you see 4 in total. 4, right? So 2 over here and 2 over here, total 4. So it's correct. 4 double covalent bonds. No, only 2 double covalent bonds, right? 2 double covalent bonds, 1 over here and 1 over here. That's why it is written as like that. So it's 2 double covalent bonds. And the last one, 1 carbon atom requires 2 electrons to achieve octet electron arrangement. 1 carbon atom requires 4 electrons, not 2. Okay, 4 electrons to achieve octet because it only has 4 valence electrons. So therefore, the answer is 1. It's wrong, by the way, yeah? Diagram 12 shows a step in preparation of soluble sulfate salts. Substance acts with sulfuric acid. So is substance X. In this case, there's only one of these sulfate salt which is soluble. So the answer is zinc oxide. Why? Because zinc oxide forms zinc sulfate. Zinc sulfate is the only one that's soluble over here. Lead sulfate, barium sulfate, and calcium sulfate all cannot solubilize in water. Because see here, it must be a soluble salt. They say soluble sulfate salt. But we know that PbSO4, BaSO4, and also CaSO4, they are not soluble. Only ZnSO4 is soluble in water. So the answer is B. 22. The following equation shows the reaction between magnesium powder and 50 cm cube of 1.0 mole per dmq hydrochloric acid. So how can the rate of reaction, how can the rate of production of hydrogen gas can be increased? So what you can do is indicate that a particular change that will increase the rate of reaction lah. So I will say here, most likely it is to add copper 2 sulfate because this can act as a catalyst, catalyst to catalyze the reaction to go faster. Replacing powder with granules becomes smaller surface area to react, so this is wrong lah. All right, decreased volume of acid also will not help because there will be lesser amount of acid, so it won't react that much. Add distilled water means you dilute the substance, so it will be harder to react also. So the best is still donkey, all right? To add the catalyst to increase the rate of reaction. 13 shows a graph of mass of a reaction mixture against time for the reaction between zinc carbonate and nitric acid. So you got P, Q, R, and S. So which point shows the highest rate of reaction? Highest rate of reaction means steeper gradient. The steeper the gradient, the higher the rate of reaction. So you see among this curve, this whole curve itself, right? Initially, the steepness of the curve is very steep. Steepness means kecerunan. Means it's actually how do I say? Steepness of the gradient means the higher the gradient, the better. So I would say P is the one because it has most reactants at that time. So definitely P will be the highest rate of reaction. So the answer here will be A. And the lowest rate of reaction will be S because at that time it becomes flat already. So therefore, P is the highest gradient. So P will be the highest rate of reaction. Number 24, diagram 14 shows a process in the preparation of two different types of cleansing agent. All right, this is most likely the detergent already. Right side will be soap and left side it will be detergent. So what are the substances P, Q, and reaction Y and Z? I would say that reaction Z is supposed to be saponification, like I said, and sulfonation is the detergent one. So the best answer to describe number 24 will definitely be donkey. Actually, no, it's not sulfonation. It's neutralization because so supposedly there's an acid added to it. And then you produce a detergent. Yeah, so the answer will be donkey instead. Alcohol, benzene, and palm oil for the two different reactions of respectively. And one is neutralization, the other one is saponification. Remember that the production of soap is called saponification. Very important. 25, 15 shows the energy level diagram for the reaction. So you got Pb plus Cu 2 plus, Pb2 plus Cu. So it's most likely a displacement reaction because the ionic equation shows displacement reaction, right? And let's take a look at this. So this is an exothermic reaction. Why? Because the graph goes downwards. Right? The energy per diagram goes downwards. If it goes downwards, means it's an exothermic reaction. Means that the reactants have lesser amount, the reactants have more energy than the products. So which of the following is correct? Definitely heat release, so it's not absorbed. But I will say here, because you see, right, Pb from 0 become +2, Cu from +2 becomes 0. So lead is undergoing oxidation, okay? Best answer here will be boil, right? Lead atom undergoes oxidation process to form lead ions. While copper is reduced, copper ions reduced to copper. 26, diagram 16 shows the apparatus set up for the reaction between compound Z and calcium carbonate. I would say that this one will be definitely an acid reacting with calcium carbonate because it says here there's lime water test, so most likely will turn cloudy. So what's the at the end of the experiment, lime water turns cloudy, right? What's the chemical formula for compound Z? So choose an acid So the only acid over here is donkey right? Because got COOH that indicates a carboxylic acid. This is alkane. This is an alcohol. And this is an ester. Only the last one will be a carboxylic acid. So definitely acid can react with calcium carbonate to produce carbon dioxide gas. Answer is donkey. 27, diagram 17 shows the apparatus set to determine the heat of the reaction. So 29, 29, and after 26, so it becomes lower in terms of its temperature. So which means it's an endothermic reaction. So which of the following statement is true? Bond formation occurs. I mean, it's quite a weird thing to say. Definitely got bond formation because I mean, there's a bond breakage and bond formation. So I don't think number one is just number one, you know what I mean? Like there must be a bond formation and also a bond breakage. That's how you can calculate the enthalpy change or the delta H value. So I don't think this is a bit weird. Temperature decrease, yes, because we saw from 29 become 26, right? So 29 become 26 means lower temperature. The value of delta H is negative. No, it's supposed to be positive. Endothermic reactions means delta H is positive. Total energy of the product is higher than the energy of the reactants, correct. Because why? The energy level diagram, it goes upwards. So definitely the reactant and the products that have more energy than the reactants. So therefore, the answer is 2 and 4, C. 28, diagram 18 shows the type of polymers that is used as packaging material. So it's a plastic bag. Which of the following explains why packaging pollutes the environment? Is it biodegradable? Most likely no lah. Does it cause the formation of algae? Also no. Algae is caused by fertilizer, right? Excessive use of fertilizer lah. Does it emit toxic gas when it's burned? Yes. Does it cause blockage in the drain system and cause flash floods? Yes. So the answer here will be 3 and 4, donkey. So this is fertilizer, remember? Fertilizer. The process is called eutrophication. 29, diagram 19 shows one of the uses of synthetic rubber. Okay, which of the following is true about synthetic rubber? For this use, I mean, this is definitely for this use, most likely. So, of course, the answer will be oil and solvent resistant because it's used in the sink area, right? So therefore, thiocol is the answer. Answer is donkey. 30. Which of the following has the largest volume of gas at room conditions? I think we have to calculate number of mole that we'll be able to know. So the first one is 12 divided by 18. Let's take a look at let's calculate and see. 12 divided by 18 will be 0.67 mole. Ammonia is 14 plus 3, 17. 17 divided by 17 is 1 mole. NO2 will be 14 plus 32, so it's 46. 23 divided by 46 is 0.5 mole. And carbon monoxide is 12 plus 16. 12 plus 16 is 28. So 42 divided by 28 will be 1.5. So of course, the highest number of mole of gas at room condition, because according to Avogadro's theory, is that any gas, if they have they actually occupy the same volume per mole. So of course, the high number of mole will be more volume, I'll say higher volume. So the best one will be number 30 should be donkey, because it is 1.5 mole. 31. Diagram 20 shows the position of X and Y atoms in the periodic table elements. So we got X and Y in period 2. So I would say, because this is group 16 and this is group 1, so you should have the formula as X2Y. It forms a compound. So which of the following diagram represents the compound form when X reacts with Y? So okay, so the best, because I said that the formula is X2Y, right? Because X can only donate 1 electron away, while Y needs 2 more to achieve octet. So X needs to donate 1 electron. So 2X donate 2 electrons away. 2Y, which needs actually 2 electrons to achieve octet. So the best answer here will be C, right? So 2X and 1Y. Okay, 32. Diagram 21 shows the preparation of potassium chloride solution. So we distilled water with X gram of potassium chloride, stirred with a glass rod, then after that add to the volumetric flask. Then top up with water until it reaches the graduation mark. And then after that, slowly add until the graduation mark, and then you close it up. Then you'll be able to get the accurate volume of the desired concentration. So here I already calculated for you, Lila, because they ask you what is the value of X, which means how much of the mass of potassium chloride you need to add inside with water to have the desired concentration and the volume, right? So we start off by calculating number of mole first, okay? Number of mole is using this formula called MV over 1000, molarity multiplied by volume divided by 1000. So this volume here, we must be in cm cube, by the way, cm cube. And then this will be mole per dm cube. So after that, once you do everything correctly, you got 0.2 mole, right? So which means inside the solution got 0.2 mole worth of potassium chloride, but we don't want that in mole, we want it in grams. So we use this formula, which is number of mole multiplied by the RFM or RMM to way to get the desired concentration, desired mass of the substance. So we calculated the RFM or RMM to be 74.5. All right, 74.5. So your number of mole multiplied by 74.5, you get 14.9 grams. That's how we know that we have to add 14.9 grams of potassium chloride to be able to achieve this volume and concentration later on. So the answer is donkey. 33. Table 2 shows the volume of hydrogen gas collected in an experiment when magnesium powder reacts with excess dilute nitric acid. So you have time taken 1 minute to 5 minutes, and then the volume of hydrogen gas increases over time until it reaches 45. Now, they ask you what's the average rate of reaction. Average rate of reaction means total volume of gas collected over total time. But the reaction actually ends on the 4th minute because the volume becomes constant, isn't it? So we don't take the 5 minutes, actually, we take the 4th minute, because that's where the reaction stops. So total gas collected will be 45 divided by 4 minutes, but they want your answer in seconds. So be very careful, make sure you read the question correctly. So that's why I put over here, rate is equivalent to 45 centimeter cube divided by 4 times 60. Why? Because they want in seconds. So I give you minutes, right? Minute, we want in seconds. So therefore, it'll be 45 divided by 4 times 60 seconds. Then total will be 45 divided by 240 seconds. So your answer finally will be 0.188 cm cube per second. Your answer will be boy. 34. Diagram 22 shows the preparation of Y mole per dm cube of sodium hydroxide solution with a pH value of 13. That's a bit tricky. So initially, you have 50 cm cube of X mole per dm cube of sodium hydroxide. Now, after you add 200 cm cube, you get diluted already, right? So then it becomes Y. But they tell you that Y, supposedly, is supposed to be 13. The pH value is 13. So what we want to do right now is to calculate the pOH value first. So using the formula pH plus pOH is 14, we can then get pOH as 1. So the pOH is actually 1. And then you have to calculate what is the value of Y by referring to the formula of how to calculate pOH. So pOH is calculated as negative log concentration of OH minus. It's the same as calculating the pH value of acid using negative log H plus. So in this case, right, normally negative log 0.1 will give you a value of 1, right? Negative log 0.1 give you 1. So now your pOH is 1. So therefore, your value of Y is 0.1 because you're supposed to negative log the concentration of the substance to get the pOH. Since you calculated pOH is 1, right? You calculated pOH 1, according to this one. So right now, we know that negative log 0.1, which is the concentration of the diluted solution Y here, is actually 0.1. So therefore, Y is 0.1. Then after that, once we get the 0.1 already, life will be so much easier already. Supposedly, Y now is 0.1 mole per dm cube. So using the formula M1, V1, M2, V2, we'll be able to get the value of X. Okay? So we use M1, which is the answer that we want, right? M2, V2 divided by 1, V1, sorry. M2, V2 divided by V1. So the volume of the main solution after dilution is actually very tricky. 50 plus 200. Most people don't read the question properly. They will just say, oh, I have 200 means 200. No, it's 50 cm cube plus another 200, so it's 250 inside total lah. All right, because it says added, added 200, so total volume 250. So this one's supposed to be 250. Yeah. So 0.1 times 250 divided by 50, which is the volume of X is now. Then we find out it's actually 0.5 mole per dm cube. So therefore, that's how I get my answer to be donkey, 0.5 mole per dm cube. So 34 is donkey. 35, the extracted copper from copper pyrite has low degree of purity and needs to be purified through electrolysis. So they're asking you which of the following apparatus setup can be used to purify copper. Very importantly, right, the impure copper must be anode and the pure copper must be the cathode for it to work. And your solution must be consisting of copper ions. So the best setup to show that, right, anode is impure copper, cathode is pure copper, and you must have a salt of copper. In this case, the answer will be donkey lah. So this is positive terminal, negative terminal, right, the battery. So left side is anode, right side is cathode. And then got copper ions inside. So that's the only way they can purify copper. Answer is donkey. All right, for 36, the fuel value of charcoal is 34 kilojoules per gram. Calculate the mass of charcoal near the boil, 2.0 dm³ of water. Given that the heat capacity of water is 4.2 joules per gram per degree Celsius, density of water is 1 gram per cm cube, and then the temperature of water at room temperature is 27. Now it says needed to boil the water. Boiling water is 100 degrees Celsius. So the change in temperature should be 100 deduct 27. So we'll start off by using the formula of Q is equivalent to MC theta. Okay, but what is M? Because they say I need to boil 2 dm³ of water. 2 dm³ is 2000 cm³. Okay, so 2, just to let you know the conversion. 2 dm³ is 2000 cm³. And if it's 2000 cm³ means it's 2000 grams because it's 1 gram per cm³. So 2000 gram. So M is 2000 gram. And then C is constant 4.2. And then theta is the change in temperature. So you got 100 degrees Celsius final temperature minus 27 degrees Celsius of the water initially. So it becomes 73 degrees Celsius. So 2000 times 4.2 times 73. So you get 613,200 joules. Then you convert it to kilojoules, which is now become 613.2 kilojoules. All right. Then we proceed on by using the next formula, which is delta H is equivalent to Q over N. But our job now is to find the N. Now, of course, the N is supposed to be number of moles, but because the delta H value is in grams, so we use grams instead of mole. So here, reshuffle the equation. N is equivalent to Q divided by delta H. So Q divided by delta H will be the Q that we got just now, 613.2 kilojoules, divided by the value over here. So it's 34 kilojoules per gram. Okay, so since it's supposed to be mole, but like I said, I've just used gram because the answer is in grams, right? So it'll be 18.04 grams. So 18.04, if you round off the nearest whole number, it will be 18. So therefore, the question for number 36 should be A. 37, which of the following is the correct structural formula and is named for the isomer of C5H10? So let's take a look at C5H10. C5H10 is supposed to be butene. So the only possible structure that's correct over here with the correct name for number 37 should be 1 is correct. 2 is wrong. 2 is wrong because you see this is supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's supposed to be 3 methyl, correct, but 1 ene. So the 2 is out. It's wrong. So this is wrong. Again, so you see, carbon 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a methyl group. Methyl attached to 3, correct. But the double bond is attached to carbon number 1. But it says here build 2 in, so it's wrong. And then 3 is pen 2 in, correct. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double bond is attached to carbon number 2. So this is correct. 3 is correct. 4, pen 3 in is wrong. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's will be pen 1 in. So the best answer here should be number 1 and 3. The first one's also correct because 1, 2, 3, 4. Methyl group at number 2, correct. Double bond is attached to carbon number 1, correct. So therefore 1 and 3 is correct. Answer will be boy. 38. Table 3 shows the observation recorded when a series of tests were conducted to verify cation and anion of compound T. A few drops of sodium hydroxide was added into an excess of solution T. White precipitate is formed, dissolved in excess. So it's most likely zinc, aluminum, or lead. So either zinc, aluminum, or lead. Then you add a few drops of ammonia. It can also dissolve in excess ammonia. So most likely it is zinc already. And then add solution T to barium nitrate solution, white precipitate is formed. So it's most probably zinc sulfate. Because you see barium nitrate added, right? BaSO4 is insoluble, so I can produce a white precipitate. So therefore, I will say zinc is the cation and the sulfate is the anion because BaSO4 forms a insoluble precipitate, so it's white color precipitate. Chloride is soluble, barium chloride is soluble, so it's most likely going to not form this thing. So if it forms a white color precipitate, means it's insoluble salt. So barium sulfate is the one that's insoluble, so it must be a sulfate salt. So zinc and sulfate. 39, diagram 23 shows the apparatus set up to investigate the reaction between iron 3 sulfate solution and potassium iodide. So given the following standard electropotential value, which of the following change is a color change to this 2 solution? Okay, so let's see. So this is okay. So what happens here if we see this standard electropotential values, right? The E naught value. So we will say that the more positive the value, the more likely you'll be able to accept the more positive the E naught value, the more likely you'll be able to accept electrons, correct? And the less positive the E naught value, the more likely you'll be able to release the electrons. So I will say right now that in this case, so Fe3 plus will be most likely accepting the electrons to form Fe2 plus. Because you see this is a more positive value, so it will more likely to accept electron, which means then, of course, if it's a more positive value, then it will be more likely to be most likely to be reduced. So it should be an oxidizing agent. Okay. And then the less positive value one should be oxidized because it's a better reducing agent, isn't it? So most likely, I would say Fe3 will be reduced. Because I say more likely to be oxidized, right? More likely to be oxidized. Oh, sorry, more likely to be reduced because it's more positive value means it will accept electrons more likely. So it becomes the oxidizing agent instead. So it will most likely be reduced. So correct, no? Fe3 plus, we got Fe2 plus, this is reduced, right? Because it decreased in its oxidation number. So it is technically reduced. And then after that, right, in this case, the electron will go towards the other side. And then here, the iodide ions, because you see, right, the iodide ion has a higher tendency to be oxidized. So what will happen is that the 2I minus will technically release the electrons to form iodine. So it will go towards, it will accept the electrons that was released by iron 3. Then what happens is that because this one, right, is supposed to be brown, Fe3 plus is brown, Fe2 plus is green. And then the I minus is supposed to be colorless. If it becomes iodine molecule, it should be brown instead. Right? Iodine molecule is brown. Sorry, my handwriting. Sabar. Let me enlarge it so I can write better. So it's supposed to be brown after that. So I'll say that on the left side, the solution from brown turns to green, and then for the right side, it turns from colors to brown. So the best answer here will be A, okay, brown to green, colors to brown, according to the ions. So therefore, 39 is A. Last question. Diagram 24 shows two types of cells. So this side is a chemical cell, this is an electrolytic cell. So magnesium will dissolve because it's a more electropositive metal. So Mg will dissolve to form Mg2 plus plus 2 electrons. So the electrons will go towards this side. So magnesium becomes the negative terminal. Okay, it becomes the negative terminal of the battery. So this carbon electrode Y will be the cathode, while this one here will be the anode, because copper is supposed to be the positive terminal. Okay, then let's take a look at what happens here. So which of the following is correct? So magnesium will dissolve for sure. So this is wrong. Does it receive electron? No, it dissolves to release electrons. So it's most likely B or donkey. Does copper become thicker? No. Not on cell 1 because inside here, oh yeah, copper sulfate. Okay, so it becomes thicker. So what happens at the copper side over here is that copper will receive the electron to form copper atoms, so it becomes thicker over time. So that's true. So this is correct. This is correct. Let's confirm and see whether it's B or not. Then for carbon X, because this is the anode, this cathode. So what will happen here will be inside here magnesium sulfate solution. So if we're talking about the anode, means there'll be hydroxide gas being produced. So OH, it is charged over here, and here will be H plus, because magnesium and sulfate will not be discharged. So is it colorless gas? Okay, correct. No changes to carbon Y. I would say no changes, wrong. So hydrogen ion undergoes reduction, correct. So this is correct. So we show this now, right? It releases electrons. Release electrons. So magnesium release electron, correct. Copper receives electron, also correct. So supposedly this is Mg becoming Mg2 plus. Like I said, it will dissolve. And then after that, on the right side, the cathode becomes thicker because copper is discharged. And then, like I said, just now, hydroxide is discharged here. Hydrogen ion is undergoing reduction, correct, because it accepts electron to form hydrogen gas. So all of this is correct according to what I explained to you just now. So therefore, the answer is donkey. Okay. All right. So I think that's pretty much about this paper. I hope you guys have learned something from there. And I'll be able to do some revision or to gain some extra knowledge. So I think that's all for now. Hope to see you guys in the next video.